Okay. Hi. Okay. In this video, we'll talk about how the automation happens. We'll take an example of Bet 365 and then check what each of the function do, and then also discuss like first we'll discuss briefly on what they do, and then we'll dive in through all the code, right? And then we'll also like open the Bet 365 website on the side, and then also explain like what happens like when this part of code is running. So first of all, let's see like the let's basically see the overview of the structure of the code. So okay, last time we saw, for example, the according to the type of website, right? The automation is started in a thread. So here is the function. Like for each website, we have the same layout, right? So for each function, we want to call the begin bidding function. So this is a function where the automation start. So in the case of bit65, so that's the begin bidding function. So we have quite a few functions over here. So okay, so first, so this is the function that receives the request, right? And then so the other functions like they also do a kind of single task. So let's see what they do briefly. So for that, I wrote some notes in an image so that it gets easier to for you also. If you want, you can take a screenshot for reference, or it will be easier for me to explain. So first, this is the function, right? The begin betting function. This is where the automation request is first received. So what happens in this function is it will check all the horses, right? It will check. So for example, sorry, first it will check the settings of the account. So like the checking of the settings happens quite frequently. Right. So let's say current request is for this account of bit 365, right? So what it first does is, for example, if what type of bit modes are turned on. For example, let's say if all of the three bit modes are turned off, then we can't possibly do any bits. So for example, it checks like if all the modes are turned off, it will simply say, okay, we can do bits. Right? So it checks like all the bit modes, and then after checking all the bit modes, what it does is it checks it creates it checks if there is possibility of doing single bits, or if there's possibility of doing double bits, or if there's doing possibility of combo bits. So for example, for checking single bits, what we do is, for example, we check like, let's say for single bits we have received 10 horses, right? So first we check the settings such as okay, let's go here. Okay. So first we check the settings such as max allowed single per day, right? So we check like if there have already been how many bets has successful bets has there been for this account today. So let's say if this account has already done 10 bets, then it will check, okay, so the maximum allowed bet is 10 and we already have done 10, so we won't do any singles. So this is also the function of like the begin betting function. So it does the same thing for combo and doubles. So for combo and doubles, the checking process is a bit different than singles, because in case of single, we only have a horse, and then we say like we only see if the horse, if that particular horse has. Okay, so yeah, like let me we talk about the checking of single. We'll obviously like dive through the code, but for let's say for checking if the particular horse can do singles, we check if the horse had already done the bet in our database. So in case the horse hasn't done the bet, we keep checking like other hertz, and then we also check the number of allowed bets, single bets. So if we have already like crossed the allowed bet, we don't do more bets. And okay, I think that might have been confusing, but the summary is it checks like if single bets is possible, if double bets is possible, and combo. So I think it will be easier if we discuss the details on the code section. So after checking, let's say it checks the account, right? It checks the horses, and then okay, it looks like we can do single or double or combo bets. Then it will start doing login. So it does login. If the login is successful, it will start doing single bets. So if the status for single bet is turned on over here, right? So if the status for single bet is turned on over here, we at this point we already have checked like if the single bet is possible. So if the status for single is turned on, it will start doing single bets, right? And if the status for double and the combo, so either of them were turned on, it will start doing them. So normally we never like um, most of the time, like in the code section, we if let's say in case double and combo both are turned on, we don't do For example, first we don't, for example, let's say we don't do double bits and then we try to do combo bits. That is because, for example, if we try to do that, the session of the bot gets, for example, more than 5 to 10 minutes. So during that time, the data, like the data that we pull from the bookie basing had already changed for like 10 or 20 times. So, right. So in that case, we would be using old data. So with the old data, we don't get good matches and then the betting does not happen. So just for that reason, to keep the session short, we only do like either double or combos. So in case if single and double is turned on, we first do singles and then do doubles, because single happens really fast. Also, I think there is a limit. For example, on each session, it can only do 2 or 3 single bets, and like same thing for double and combo. So that's it. Okay, right. So with the begin betting, it like checks the settings, right? If it's possible, if single, double, or combo is possible, it does login and then does the bet, right? So this begin betting function, so let's say if the bet type is single, then it will send request to this function. So this function starts doing single bets. So in case if the bet type is combo, right? So okay, so yeah, if for combo, this is the function that does combo bets. This is the function that does double bets. So both of these functions receive the array of horse data, right? Both of them receive the array of horse data, and then they create all the possible combinations, right? And there are also filters that are set up by Oliver. So, for example, like the maximum odds allowed or the minimum EV threshold, and how much money we want to win. So both of them check for each combination. The individual check if they pass the criteria. So if in case they pass the criteria, they add it to another list, and then later they will do like combo bets for each of the combination. So right, so up to this point, like we receive the data, and then we check if the betting is possible. If betting is possible, we do the login, and depending on the type of bet, for example, for single, we for single we use this function. For double, sorry, for combo and for double we use these function, right? So these functions, they create possible combination, and then for the combination that hasn't been used already or that does not have any issue, it will start doing the bets for that combination. So for example, for let's say if this function, right, if this function found 5 good possible double combination, then it will pass each combination to this function. So the one that says bet on a single double. So this function is responsible to do bet for that particular combination, right? So the same bet on single double plus, yeah, okay. So place combo bet. So this also does, for example, it receives one combination and then it does betting for that combination. So the place bet combo and place combo bet, yeah, place combo bet and place double bet function, they work kind of similar, right? So both of them receive a combination and then do that particular type of bet. So for each place bet, place double bet or place combo bet or bet on a horse, the all of these functions, what they need to do is they need to select horse, right? So for example, they need to select horse. So all of them make utilization of this function called select race global. So this function, what it does, it selects the race, right? And then after selecting the rate, it returns the status back to this function. And then in case of double, we'd select 2 races. In case of combo, we select 4 races, right? So after the selection of races is done, this function sends request to this one that says confirm convert. So what this does, it clicks on the, okay, I think it clicks on the EW lock, sorry, EW, there is a button, right? There's a checkbox we need to click, and then lucky 15 or whatever it is, and then it puts the amount according to calculation, and then it places the bet again. So this hide bet function, what this does is there is a bet slip, we will see it later, right? So there is a bet slip, it hides the bet slip. The clean bet function, it removes all the bets from the horse, and then update logs, it obviously updates the data in database. The screenshot also takes screenshot and then returns the URL. So I think that's a brief intro to the what each function does, right? So what we'll do now is we'll go to the Bet65 website, right, and then check like how this happens on the website. So this what I said now it makes sense, and then after that we'll dive into the code. So I'm just going to open the bookie basing. Sorry, I need to open Bet365. Bet365. Okay, I'll try to use proxy. Yeah, okay, this one. So the okay. So first, I'll just quickly show like how what the bot or how the betting is done generally manually, right? So if you were to do the bet manually, how you do it? Okay, since the VPN is kind of making it slower, just disconnect it and then so it without VPN. In this case, the only time it is the only difference is the time thing. So let's go to horse racing section. So every time, what we need to do is, for example, this is the horse betting page, right? So all the website, the page is more or less similar in the sense like the function, the thing that we have to do uh, is almost same. So the what our purpose is for UK and Ireland. So this is a race. Okay, so this is a race. Sorry, this is a race called Windsor, Newmarket, Chester, Doncaster, right? So these are the races, and like for example, these are races, and they happen at different times. So currently, like it is only showing number right now, but in case if the VPN was working, it would show time over here. For example, there's some this bit might start at 10 a.m. This might be at 12. This might be at 1 p.m. This might be at 1:45 p.m. So for each race, the race happens at different time. And so, for example, for Windsor, that starts at 10:45 p.m. Right? So there are a lot of horses. So these are the horses, and what the purpose of a bot is. So for like for so that okay, let's see. Okay, so I think it will be easier if we see the data from over here. Hmm, yeah, okay. Um, okay, so okay, let me just filter by bet365 so it's easier. Okay, so for example, okay, let's see. Okay, if we see over here, right? So the data says like the race. This is the race called Doncaster. It starts at 18:15, right? So this is and the race that starts at another time, right? So for example, like if you see over here, the consistency is the name of the race, right? And then only difference is normally time. So here there are like the same race is listed twice because like there are different horses. So in each race there are multiple horses, right? So yeah, right. So the simply that what we get from the bookie basing website is like tells us which horses are good to do bets. So in case of 1513 Newcastle, like it says two horses are good to bet because they have higher EV. So let's try to use this, right? The Newcastle 1530. So in case let's say we want to do in case we want to do single bets. Okay, so okay, Newcastle here it is. Yeah, okay, it's yeah. So we let's say we choose this. Okay, let's say we choose this one, right? So this is the race. Currently it should show you time because of your time of your country. For me, I'm in Nepal, so it does not show me the data of time. So here it normally shows time, right? So let's say this is the race we are trying to get. So this is the 1530 Newcastle, right? So in 1530 Newcastle, so let's suppose like this Lexington Dash, this is the horse that we want to do single bet. So to do that, what we do is, for example, we always come over here and then click on the odds. So this is the odds. So 11, this is the odds, and so the odds data is also provided by bookie basing. So normally while doing bets we match the odds. So let's say if the odds for this horse is 67, right? And then if that horse was present over here, we check like if the odds over here is also 67. So in case the odds match, we have to click on this. So when we click on this, the bet slip, this is the bet slip that we talked earlier, the bet slip opens, right? So and then it opens the bet slip, right? And then we can, for example, if you want to place the single bet, we would click on EW, right? And then the place where it says set stake, we enter the amount that we want to do bet. For example, let's say we want to try 0.1 bet, right? So we would do that. Okay, so it says minimum stake is 0.2, so let's try to put one. Okay, so let's say we want to do $1 bet for this horse, right? So we put one over here, and then we also want to make sure we have clicked EW, right? This is very important, and then we simply click on the place bet. So this is what happens for single like every time. So in case, for example, if we're to hide this slip, okay, yeah, this does not simply okay. In case, okay, let's say For example, okay, so let's say this is a double bet, right? So on double bet, uh, let's say the first horse was this one, right? And the second horse that was had to be used on double bet was the one called Good Effort. So in that case, we click on the odds, obviously after the odds has matched, right? And then we open the bet slip and we click on the EW, right? And then we enter whatever the stake amount we have to enter according to the calculation. Let's say it's 1.2. So we would enter the amount and then place bet. So this is what we are supposed to do for doubles, right? So in case, let's say, if our double failed, so what we would do is we would click on this button called remove all. It will clear the bet slip. So that is what the clean all bet function does. It clears the bet slip. And yeah, so for combo, we'd simply like click on whatever horse it is, right? And then choose next horse. Would keep doing this. For example, like sometimes the horses are from different races. Yeah, so I cannot click on that because it's the old race. So let's click on this. I think I just clicked on the same race type. Okay, an island. Okay, so let's try Doncaster. Right. So we'll choose this one. We have three. So let's try the last one. So for combo, we'd click on this. We'd expand this. We'd click on EV. And yeah, okay, so for combo there are two settings that we have to use. So for combo, if it's possible, we always want to do lucky 15 bet. So to see that, we have to click on this one called that says show more multiples. So when we click on that one, right, so it shows us all the possible combinations. So it says like with it says, for example, like I mentioned, we always want to try to do the lucky 15 bet first. So in most of the combination, it will show like L15 or Lucky 15, right? So in case Lucky 15 is available, we'd click on the EW of Lucky 15 and whatever amount it is, we'd enter the calculated amount over here and then place the bet. In case for some reason, like for this combination, Lucky 15 is not available, we want to do Yankees bet. So for this, we click on the EW of Yankee and enter the amount and place bet. Yeah. So this is basically like what we are trying to automate. So this is the same thing that happens for all the other website, right? So the process is similar, but the interface is only different. And yeah, okay, after that is done. Okay, okay. I think this video might be a little longer, but it's probably easier to like include everything in the same video for this one. Okay, so also like on the point is, for example, if we see over here, like if we compare this and Skybet tool, right? So the Bet65 and Skybet tool, they are nearly identical, right? All the functions are same, just the X path of the code changes most of the time. And for some of the website, like the process of looking the horses, right? The process of selecting odds is different, but the functions are always more or less similar. This is because the process is same and it's kind of repetitive, right, for all the websites. So if you like check for the Bet65 website properly, the pattern itself repeats for all the websites and it's the same. So yeah, okay. So as we talked about earlier, the begin betting function, this is where the betting starts, right? So this function, yeah, okay, it checks, right, if okay. So what it first does is it checks if all the bet modes are turned off. So if all the bet modes are turned off, okay. Hmm. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. If all the bet modes are turned off, it will ask the user to turn on one of the bet modes and then update log. So right, this is the update log function at the bottom. So in case like if any of the combination is turned on, so it will check what type of combination is turned on, right? So in case both, yeah, in case, yeah, okay. So I think this, yeah, here what we are doing is I'll just update this. This previously we did not have this step. So one issue that we are having was sometimes there used to be a lot of combination, especially when there were a lot of horses, so races. So in that case, we'd have like 40, 50 horses, right? So when we create like four combination, like all the possible combination of four horses out of all those horses, right? When we created the combination was very big, and then looping through all the combination, right? Checking in database if that combination had been used, and also calculating, right, if the odds of that combination is allowed or not. So while doing that, it takes a lot of time. So what we are doing is, since we are only allowed to do either double or combo, right? So in case if we are allowed to do combo, we remove the combo threshold, right? We remove the horses which have EV less than the combo threshold. So in case we want to do double bets, we remove all the horses which have lower EVs than the threshold. So this is very useful in other websites too, because in Bet365 website, although we only do combo bets, in others we do single, double, and combos. So Oliver decides on that, and he'll tell you about that. So yeah, okay. Here also we have limited the maximum amount of horses allowed at 225, because with 30 and 35 horses, it took really long time to do the calculations, and then the by the time the calculation finished, the data would already get old, and then we are not getting any good bets. So we are limiting the number to 25. So here we are checking if single is possible, right? So this function checks if we can do at least one single bet from all the horses we have received. The same thing, right? So check valid doubles. What it does is if checks if it is possible to do at least one double bet from all the horse data. So the same thing happens in the combination one, right? So it checks that if at least one combination is possible from all the horse data. So let's check the valid singles one. So yeah, okay, this comes from helper bet365. Um, okay, so if you see over here, the page thing also appears over here. So like we talked earlier, the page thing, it's simply for logging purpose, right? We can see like, so whatever print happens for this right over here, so we know that that was a message from bet365 website and for this username. So it's very easier to debug later. So right, so we are reading like how many successful bet had happened that day. So there is the helper function that helps us to get the amount of successful bet for whatever bet type it is, right? For whatever account it is and for whatever website type it is. So we get the total successful bet. We check if we already have done bets up to that number, right? So let's say if 10 bets are allowed. So if you have already done more than 10 or equal to 10 bets, we don't want to do any bets, right? So we also like look through all the horses, right? Let's say there are 40 horses. We look through all the horses and we also check the EV threshold. We also check in the database if that bet has already been done, right? So if the horse name Amit has already done single bet today, we don't want to use it. So in case if any of the horse can do bet, we stop checking and then we tell okay, single is good to go. Similarly for doubles, the pasting again appears, right? We check the total successful double bets for that day, and if it's still below the threshold, we continue. So we create all the possible combinations, right? We create all the possible combinations, and then yeah, okay, I think we should talk about this because the same thing happens while trying to do bets. So the logic or the what we need to do is, for example, let's say we choose four horses named Amit 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So there are like 50 horses, and then one of the combination has like Amit 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other one has X1, X2, something like that, right? So this is just a random name of horse. So we normally the requirement is that no two horses can be from same race. What I mean by that is, for example, let's say this is 740. Yeah, okay, it's just time over. This is 745 Doncaster, right? So we are not allowed to use these two horses because they are from the same race. So same race as in like 745 Doncaster, right? So this is a single race. So we are not allowed to use same horses from the same race. So we do also do this for combo. Okay, this is what we are checking, right? Yeah, okay. So other than that, so this is okay. So we also have like max allowed odds setting that we had discussed earlier. So for each account, okay, max allowed odds double. Yeah, okay. So max allowed bets or double bets. Okay, max allowed bets double. And this is not the one. Yeah, okay. Max allowed odds double, right? So here it says that's 100,000. Okay, so max allowed odds double is 100,000. So this is the maximum allowed odds for double. So in case the multiplication of odds of the two horses is more than that, we don't want to use that combination. So for same thing, we don't want to use the combination in a combo if the multiplication of odds of the four horses is greater than the threshold. So we do the calculation, right? We do the calculation, and if there is a possibility of even a single double bed, the checking stops, and then it says, okay, we are good to do double or combo beds. So yeah, okay, so yeah, that this is the same thing, right? So yeah, okay, yeah, okay, okay, yeah. One more thing we should talk about. So we also have another setting over here. So yeah, max allowed beds per horse. Where is it? Yeah, okay. So this one, the one that says max beds per horse per double day. So the first setting we had is how many maximum beds we are allowed to do for the type of bid, right? So for example, for bid 65, we can bid for any bid 65 account, we can only do 10 double bid, right? So that was one of the settings. But we also want to make sure, like here's a setting that only allows us to use one horse 4 times in a double bids or something like that. So here the number is 4. This means that the horse Amit one, okay, the horse Amit one can only be used a maximum of 4 times in for double. So for example, if let's say we did 10 double bids today, right? So the horse Amit cannot be used for more than four of those double combination. So for that, what we do is we create a temporary file, right? We create a temporary file called, so whatever bet type it is. So bet website it is. Let's say if it is bet 65, we create a file called bet 65 underscore combo or double. So whatever type it is underscore account name, right? On that we create a JSON file, and then we add how many times the horse was used. So I think let's check the data on the server. So for that we are in console. I think I should already be logged in. Okay, this is the one, and it's using the connection to the website. So let's check that. Check that. Scraping temp data. Okay, I think I should type this and transfer data slash speed. See, if you see over here, right? So for bet65, two of the accounts ran yesterday. So we have two JSON file. Okay, let's try to see this one, right? So what the JSON file it contains is, for example, whatever type of bet it is, and the details of the horse and how many times they were used. So yesterday, this horse Swiss Ace was used 3 times for combo bets, right? So this one called Willie Joan was used 4 times. So after 4 times, I think it stopped doing bet. So this data is only used locally and then deleted the next day, because for the next day we don't care like what bets we did yesterday. So this is what this function does. It checks like how many bet that horse did for that website type, right? So there is a helper function for that. And similarly, we check, okay, at the end we check if we have already done the combo or double bet for that particular combination. So if everything looks good, we simply return, like we simply return true that okay, double or combo is possible. And over here we are like looping through all the each horses in this combination, right? Whatever combination we are currently looping through. So whatever combination we are looping through, we are also checking EV of each of the horse, right? And if in case EV is less than the threshold, we skip the whole combination. Okay, so now this check doesn't seem to be needed because we had already done the filtering previously. But this is here because earlier we didn't have the filter of the EVs before this function. So this is just this is here because it was like applied previously, right? So yeah, that is about check valid double and check valid combo. So yeah. Okay, so this is the check eligibility daily function, right? So it checks whatever type of website it is, right? And then it reads how many times that horse was used for bet. So yeah, okay, also for login, we have a function. We normally keep like login and helper function, right? So here the function, like it receives username, password, and then the driver. This is the browser instance for Chrome. So it just does the login. And yeah, okay, so yeah, so right, we check like if bet is possible. So in case the betting is possible, yeah, we check like in case the betting is possible, right? We start the Chrome driver, right? We start the Chrome, and then we try to do login 3 times, right? So when the login is successful, right, if the login is successful, we check the fonts first, because let's say if the account has font like $5 in it, right, 5 GBP in it, we don't want to try to use that account for doing bets, because it is just going to eat up the resources, and then we can't do any bets with that amount of money. So there is a threshold set up on server, right? So the threshold is in settings. So yeah, so here is the balance threshold. So if the balance is less than this, we don't want to attempt bets. So for that, we checking, yeah, we check the fonts, right? This function, what it does is it checks the font, and then it sends an email if the font are lower, and then it turns off the account. So yeah, so that's it. Okay, so yeah, so how the check fonts function? Let's go ahead and look. Let's go ahead and look at it, because it will probably be easier for you, because somebody explains like how it is done. So first it waits for the balance, right, for the balance element, right? It waits for the balance element. When the balance element appears, it reads the balance, right? So it reads the balance and then checks, for example, if the balance is lower than the threshold, it sets the self.skip as true. So if self.skip is true, later we won't try to do any bets, right? So this self.skip can be used like anywhere. So if self.skip is true anywhere, we stop. Like this self.skip is checked frequently. So if this is true, we stop doing bets. So like this is used throughout all the functions. So if this is true anytime, we stop doing bets. So right, so let's say Oliver has put two emails of two individuals, right? Two individuals, comma, and then he put my email something like amit@gmail.com, right? So it will look through the emails and then send them notification like, okay, your balance is low, please recharge it. The account has been turned off, right? It also tells them the time of the email, like when it was received. And then also there's another function that turns off the account. So we use this function to turn off the account, because we don't want it to be using resources or keep trying because it might get blocked or something. So this thing called update last email notified, this what this does is, okay, what this does is it updates the database on when the email was last sent for this account. So currently we only send email notification every hour, or I think every 24 hours. So okay, yeah, so right, what this does is it changes the value called email notified, right, last email notified on the database. So we also check like if the email, if we are just sent an email, we don't want to keep sending the emails. So right, so yeah, that's pretty much what the check balance does is, right. So think over here. Yeah, okay, so right. So the check fonts function, it runs, and then if it hasn't set the skip to true, we start doing the bet. So if single is turned on, we look through all the data and then try to do a single bet, right? So this is where we try to do single bet. So if the combo is turned on, we call this function and send all the data to this function, and then to look through the create combinations, look through the combination, and then try to do the bets. And same thing happens for double, so they are kind of identical. So yeah, that is the begin betting function. So let's quickly go through the singles, the function that says like that does the single bet, right? So bet and horse function. So no, this is not the one. Okay, this is the one, right? Okay, so this is a function. So what happens is every time we try to do the single bit, we first clear all the bets from the bet slip. This is because, for example, let's say I, for some reason, right, we are doing single bets and I try to do bet on this called golden hind, right? So for some reason there was an error and I could not do the bet, and also I was unable to clear the this one, right, for some reason. So every time before doing the bit, we always try to like clear this. So just in case if the bet slip was being populated from the previous bets, so we try to clear this, right? So we clear this, we check the time. Let's say for some reason the bot was running slow, and then the current time is 5 p.m., and then the horse horse race time was like 4:45 p.m. or something. So since we have already passed the race time, we'd want to stop doing bet for that horse, right? So after doing that, we check the EV again, right? So this is checked already. We don't need it over here, but this is here because we didn't use to check the EV on the first page. So yeah, okay. So we also check like do the successful bet check, like how many successful bet for single is done. So we are doing this over here because let's say on the current section, since we are allowed to do like 4 to 10 or 4 or 5 single bits, right? So let's say previously we had already done 8 or 9 successful single bits. So in this session, let's say we just did 1 bit, right? So this is the next request for a single bit. In this case, we always want to check the database and see how many bits we have done because we don't want to do more bits. So let's say we already had done 9 bits, and then in this current section we just did 1 bit. So that means we did a total of 10 bits, and the maximum allowed single is 10. So in that case, we always check like how many successful bit has been done, and then in case the threshold is reached, we simply ignore the bit request, right? So we also check like check bit status. This is checking if that combination was already used today. So if everything else is fine, we use this function called select rest global. What this does is it always reloads this page, right? It loads this page and then finds whatever rest it is. So it loads the page. So whatever rest it is, let's say it's new market, 135 new market, right? It loads the race. It checks the odds, right? It checks the odds. If the odd matches, it clicks on the odd, and then that's what the select race global function does. Let's go ahead and quickly check this one also. Okay, not over here. Yeah, okay, so here it is. Right, so it loads the login URL. Sorry, it says login URL, but this is actually this one, right? The host URL. So it loads the URL, right? It hides the bit box. If like this one, it tries to hide this. I think there should be a okay, looks like there's no option to hide it, but on some website we have to hide the bed blocks because bed box or bed slip, right? We have to hide the bed slip because it sometimes blocks these things behind it so that we are unable to do beds. So if possible, it will hide the box, right? And then it will do the same time check, right? It will do the time check, and then normally the data received from this one, right? The time here the time is sometimes is it gives time as 14 is to 10, but on bet65 the time is specified as what is it? Okay, let's try to see this one again. So if you see over here, the time it has a dot over here. So whatever conversion we need to do, we do that over here, right? And then we find the race, name of the race, because on this part, the name of the race is it contains time and then the whatever actually the name of the race. So we split the time and race, right? And then we check if that exists over here, right? So we check the name, race name and race time. We check if that exists over here. So in this case, there should be the time, but since I'm not on VPN, it's not showing. So normally it's time over here. We check like if both of them exist. We check the URL, take the URL, and then click on it, right? We check the URL and then click on it. So okay, one more thing. Okay, so sometimes what happens is, okay, here's a perfect example. So what happens is, so if you see over here, this horse has an apostrophe, right? It has an apostrophe on its name, right? But when we see over here, none of the horses have apostrophe in it. So for some reason, the BB tool does not allow apostrophe. So for example, this one might have apostrophe on Bet65 website or some other website. So sometimes while checking the name, we are unable to find the exact name. So in case the exact name is not found, what we do is we check all the horses, right? We check all the section of horses, and then we remove apostrophe and all the other stops from all the horses, and then try to do the name matching. So here, let's say, okay, so that happens over here. So the boxes, this means like this is the first box, this is the second box. We check all the boxes and the name of the horses, and we remove apostrophe from it. And if both of the names, right, the name from here and then the name after removing apostrophe from here, if they match, we select, okay, so we said, okay, this is the one that we want, right? We do that, and then we read also the odds, right? This is the odds we read. We also match the odds from our data, from the data we received from bookie bashing and to the one on the website. If everything is good, we simply click on this one, right? We click on this. So after clicking, we also verify if the name of the horse appears on the bet slip. So this is very important because sometimes for some reason on production the name does not appear. So in case the name does not appear, it returns false, and then this it returns retry. Okay, it returns retry so that we can the selection can be again retried. So yeah, okay, we were on bet and horse, right? So the selection of the horse happens with this function. So if the horse is selected properly, what this does is it will enter the input amount, right? It will enter the input amount, and then it should also be clicking on the EW. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it just waiting for the this box, right? Input box, right? It waits for the input box, right? It calculates the bid amount. So for bid, so for biddings, there is a formula that we have to use. So we will see the formula below. So we always never want to do bets below 0.1 1 GBP and or more than whatever the maximum allowed bet amount has been set by Oliver. We don't want to do bets below or more than that. So first step is to click on EW. So this is the one like we're talking about, clicking on EW. We click on EW, right? So and then we also should be sending the amount. Yeah, here we are sending the bet amount, right? We send the bet amount, right? So something like $1, and then if we click on this, it will place like a double. Like if the stake is one, it will place bet of $2. So we click on EW, and then we click on the bet button, right? After that, we wait for it to get completed, and then we wait for the message that says okay, bet completed. So when the message appears, we read it, and then we update the database. So in case, yeah, that's pretty much it. So in case like from the earlier function, right? So from this one, um, okay. So if the select race global function, if it had returned false, we would, if the result, like the value, if it's true, we don't want to, we would not like try to select the horse again. So in case that was false, we try to select the horse again depending on the response. So if the response was okay, retry, then we try to select the horse again 2 times, right? And if we are able to successfully select the horse in 2 times, we place a bet. If we are run, we just ignore the horse, right? So that's pretty much for the single bet. Okay, so let's just check how the combo is done, and then like the same thing, same pattern is used for double. So currently we just saw how the single bet is implemented, right? So okay, so let's check the combo one. Bet and horse, bet and horse. Okay, here is the one. Here's the function. So this is the function that is responsible to do the combo bet, right? So here, same as while checking if the combination is possible, it creates all the possible combination of row from the data. It will loop through the combination, right? It will check, for example, if two horses from the same race are present, right? It will do that check and skip the ones that have, for example, skip the combination which have that, right? It also checks the odds, right? If the maximum or if the total odds from all the the possible from the current combination is more than the allowed combo, it will also skip that, right? So after doing the basic check, what it does is it will again check the selected, like the combos remaining from the above check. It will look through all of them, right? And then it will check time. Okay, yeah, so the check time thing is this, we use this to limit the session time. So for example, let's say if the betting is being done for more than 5 minutes or something like that, we want to stop the betting because there's no point in running the session for 30 minutes because the data normally gets changed by 3 to 4 minutes. So we always try to limit the session to 5 minutes. So this is what this function helps us to do. So if everything is good, like we check if the horse has done bet previously, right, on the same day. So if everything is good, we okay, yeah. Oh, okay, so there is one more thing. So sometimes what happens is, so yeah, okay. So for sometimes what happens is, for example, let's say the odds for this horse. Okay, so for let's say we wanted the bookie basing tool gave us data for this horse called Chanson D Amour, right? And then the odds given by bookie basing tool was 17.5. But when we checked on Bet65, the odds are 17. Okay, so there is a mismatch, right? So we cannot use this horse because the odds do not match. So in that case, what we do is the function that tries to select the horse, it always, if the odds of any horse is off, it marks that horse as incompatible, and it cannot be used for combination. So if any horse has been marked bad, then this the self, yeah, if the horse has been marked bad, it is added to this list called failed odds horse. So if any of the horse in the current combination is in that list, or let's say if the current horse odds had not matched previously, we simply ignore it. This makes it faster for the bot, right? So they what I'm saying to say, what I'm trying to say over here is, if for any race, right, if for any horse the odds has not matched, we don't want to use it for these for inside the same session for other combination. So if this horse appears in future combination inside that same session, we simply ignore it, right? So by session, what I mean is like the time when the Flask API receives the request, and then the time up to the time when the automation for that account stops. So that session is like length of duration from the automation starts, right? So that's it. We like these are for the logs, right? We check, we add what type of bet it is, the total maximum odds from bookie basing, right? We multiply all four odds, right, or two in case of the double bet, right? We add EV, the odds from the website, right? So this is the same check. Like if we have already done the maximum allowed successful bet for the combo, we don't want to do it anymore. We also check like if the bet has been already done, right? If this combo had been already used, we don't want to do it, right? We also check the EV, right? And after that, after everything looks fine, we want to do, okay, we say now, okay, this combination is good. We want to use it for combo bet. So for that, we send request to this function. So this bet combo has four horses. Okay, so let's quickly go through this. So what this does is it loops through all the four horses, right? It loops through all the four horses and tries to select each horse. So this is the same function we use for single bit, right? So we also do try to retry. We also do the retry and try to select the same horse in case it gets error. So let's say if omit one horse, we could not select that horse right now. We again try to select it two times. So if we cannot select it for two times, we just ignore the combination. So here what we are trying to do is we are trying to select all the four horses from this combination, right? So in case if we are allowed to select all the four horses, we now say, okay, we had a good combination, right? We selected all the four horses. Now we want to place bet on it. So for that, we send the request to place combo bet function. So this one is over here, right? Okay. So over here, what we do is the first thing, like I mentioned earlier, is we want to click on the bet slip, right? We want to click over here. This expands the bet slip. I'm just clicking on the four dummy like horses for demonstration. So this is what we do. We click on it. Okay, so since okay, if you remember, we are not allowed to use the two horses from the same race. So let's quickly select different horses, right? So also like next point is, for example, we are allowed to use same horse if they are on different races. For example, if this one is present on the next race, so it's totally good to use that. So we click on this, right? So this is what happens over here. We click on it, right? And then we click on the show more multiples, so, right? And then if lucky 15, right, if lucky 15 is available, we click on lucky 15. If not, we click on Yankees, right? We click on Yankees, and after that we calculate the amount of bid that we must do. So since this is a combo type, we check on the database on what is the bid amount that we want to win for combo, and then we divide it by the total number of odds for this combination. So if we want to win 40,000 rupees, sorry, GBP, we divide 40,000 by the total odds of the four horses, right? And we also check like if the bid amount is not too high. So generally the bid amount, maximum allowed bid amount for doubles, so combo is 3, I think 2.7 or something. Yeah, 3. So it's 3. So this is set by Oliver, right? So we also check that, and after that we call this function, right? This is the use job of this function is to um, just type the numbers, right? So type the number over here and then click on the place bet button. So if it is able to do this successfully, it will return true, and then if not, it will return false, and then also add like why it could not do it, right? It will return a message from here and here. So the header is like title, and then bet reference is like body. So if bet was done successfully, right, if it returned true, we want to update the log, say yeah, okay, this was done. Or just in case, let's say we could not do bet, right? So there could be normally there are numerous reasons why we couldn't do bet. Okay, sometimes we run out of balance while doing bet, because let's say if the client had 50 rupees, 50 GBP, right? Client had 50 GBP, we just did a bet, and then the amount used by bot was 47 GBP. Okay, then we only have 5 GBP, and then when we try to like click on this button, it says, okay, you don't have balance, please recharge or something like that. So in that case, we normally check the message, right? So if so whatever type of message it is, we then we either send the logs, we either update the logs and notify the client, or retry again with the adjusted bet amount. So this is one of the case, right? And similarly, this is one another case where it says like, if they sometimes the account gets limited. What I mean is by that is that bet65 or any other website, they block the account of clients from time to time. If the clients start winning a lot of money, they block the account, and then they limit the number of GBP they can put in the bet box. So sometime, let's say if we are doing 3 GBP bets earlier, now our account has been restricted and it only allows to us to do 0.5 GBP bets. In that case, it will return a message something like the amount is above the available maximum. Please use something this please use this value only. You are only allowed to do this, right? So in that case, we read the message, we calculate the bid amount, right? We calculate the bet amount, and then we try to do the bet again. So if we are successful to do the bet, we simply notify we add the data to database, right? And if we are not like so if it's not possible to do bet, we report the data on the database. We update the log saying, okay, the bet was not possible because of this reason. So also, in case, let's say, in case the limit amount, right, the website blocked us and it says now the amount that you can bet is 0.00 or something. So when the website says that, this means our account has been blocked and then we are unable to use it further. So in case the bet amount is less than 0.1, we simply update the client saying, okay, your account has been blocked. Please check the account. The current balance is this, right? So it will send that email to the client. It will also turn off the account, and that's pretty much it. So like this, report to the trader. This is and the message. So in this message, it gives us like it says something like, okay, so if you want to place this bet, this much amount would be sent to trader or something. So in this case also, we have a condition like we read the amount it says, and then we divide it by 30 in case if this is a lucky 15 bet, and then 22 in case it is a Yankee bet. So according to the setting, we calculate the new bet amount and then do the bet. And yeah, so this is the same thing, right? So there are like several conditions. I can't remember them currently, but like the conditions are added as they arise. So in few weeks we see and notice a new condition. So in that case, we add code to check that, right? So that's pretty much it. So the confirm combo bet, this simply like checks the amount if it's good, right? And then it sends the amount, and then to try to click on the button, and then also reads the settings. So this is what this does. So clean all bet, it removes all the horses from the bet slip. Update log, simply updates the log to database. Horse takes the screenshot. And okay, so if we check Skybet tool, right? So if we scroll through it, this is nearly same. So all the tools have identical code structure. The only difference is the code inside it, right? Because the structure of each website is different. So the code or the way we select horses change, but the wireframe, or what we call it, the structure is always same. So on some functions, on some of the script, you might notice few more function. This is because like just because this is because some of the website have like different requirements, and then we are allowed to go through multiple steps to be like able to check the horses or select the horses. So that's pretty much it. On the next video, we'll discuss if there's something special for any of the script, right? So other than that, all other tools like automation tools, they have the same structure. So I think the video went long. I am really sorry for that. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm available if you want to get on a call. Thank you.